Hi, I'm Lance Lambert. Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Vehicle Show. We are in Golden, Colorado at the Golden Supercruise. This is an event that happens the first Saturday of every month, and it is tremendous. Today there are over 1,000 cars participating in this cruise. It is absolutely amazing. So you are going to do what you do every week. You're going to meet some great people, see some great cars, and listen to some great music. So do what I tell you to do every week. Just kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. Jerry Smith, this is an absolutely beautiful 34 Ford pickup. Hard to miss with this yellow paint. Tell us about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it started out, I bought it as a basket case. It had been a hot rod, and it was full fendered and channeled, but it was probably from the 50s. And I bought it and then let it sit in my garage for a couple of years, and then figured out what we were going to do with it. So we raised it back up and decided that we'd stick with all Ford on it and do it as a high boy. Mm-hmm. And when it came to high boy, I looked a long time for paint and finally came up with yellow, which is my wife's least favorite color, but it works on the truck.
You say it's Ford power. What's the running gear in it?
It's a 302, well, it's a 289 that's bored out to 302, and a C4 transmission and an 8-inch Ford rear end. And it's plenty powerful for it.
It's interesting that you took something that was, you say, channeled and more of a 50 or 60s style of custom and made it look like this, whereas somebody might buy something that looks like this and make it look like that. I guess it's just everybody's particular choice.
It's probably taste, and also these are pretty cramped as far as room goes, and if you channel one, it's not that comfortable. And it was just kind of my idea what needed to happen to it.
Close inspection of this shows that the workmanship is just beautiful. Everything, the fit and finish is spectacular.
The people that helped me with were really good people. Been in the business for a long time. As a matter of fact, the guy that owned the hot rod shop that did a lot of the work on it was a high school friend of mine. So we grew up, kind of grew up together. And then when it came time for the project, he looked at it and he said, "Oh no." But it all turned out well.
And you're still friends.
When we're still friends, still good friends.
I noticed on the side, I asked you what I've seen those bars, but I have never heard them referred to as push-out bars.
Well, they're called kickoffs, and they're from the old jalopy racing days. And it actually was, my brother was building a truck, and he was going to put them on his, and I stole his idea. But it's all worked out.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Twig Lindsay, we have had 55 Buicks on the show before, but we've never had a guy with the name of Twig. How'd that happen?
Well, that's just when I was a kid working at Safeway, and they teased me because I was going to open a branch office at Safeway, and I was Twig of the branch.
Well, I like that, and I like your 55 Buick. This is just absolutely stunning. We saw this at the show in Central City yesterday, ran out of taping time, caught you here today, and really glad we found you. Beautiful car.
Well, it's a cruiser. It's a driver all the time. Doesn't get trailered any place. I like to drive it to as many shows as I can and just enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. What was it like when you got it? What have you done to it?
Well, I got it 5 years ago, and about 50 feet away from it, it looked pretty much like it is now. It was in really good shape because it had been stored in the barn for 29 years. And then the gentleman I bought it from in Kentucky, he had started some restoration, but it was pretty rough. So about a year and a half ago, we did a full restoration on it again, and it just turned out the way it is, good. It's only got 40,000 miles, original miles. The heads have never been off of it. It's got all of its own original parts. Everything's been redone for the paint and the chrome and the bodywork. We did some metal work, but formed our own metal and put it in there and just went from that.
Interior on it? Interior
is about 9 years old, and I was at the National Buick meet here just July 4th of 2009, and they said I wouldn't be in the senior class only because the design of the seats look right, but the material used is not. So it's 9 years old, but it just presents well.
I see it's a special, but it has 4 portholes. Tell me about that.
Well, I kind of cheated a little bit, and I've had many Buick owners or Buick men nail me on this right away. They know. Some of them thought I put a clip off of a Century on there because the Centuries have the 4 ports. But I just like the design better, the look better on the 4 ports, so I put the 4th port in myself.
Power plant on this?
Power plant is a little 264 nailhead V8 with the high Dynaflow transmission.
Works out just fine.
Works great. Doesn't get the best gas mileage. I'm below 15, or usually around 13 or 14. And if I'm going out on the flats, or if I am going uphill and I can keep my momentum, it does well. It just cruises along real nice. If I have to slow down for a truck or let somebody in, I'm almost dead in the water. I have to almost start from scratch.
I think the 55 is just maybe the cleanest of the mid-50s. It's just the most simple, but it's really elegant, really classy.
Well, and what everybody likes about this 55 is because it has such massive front bumpers on it. And it's got, everybody calls them Dagmars, and so the front bumper is 7 pieces of steel to make that one bumper, and they are just huge. And you put it all together, it takes 3 guys to put it back on the car, because 1 guy holding each side and 1 guy underneath bolting.
And you have to be our age to know what that Dagmar refers to.
Yeah, but think of Mae West, and there was another gal named Dagmar, so that's where it comes from.
All right, well, I'm going to stop before we get in too much trouble here. Thank you very much, Twig. This is a
Lance.
beautiful 1955 Buick. Norm Smith, I like things that are a little bit unusual. You see 57 Suburbans around, but not a whole lot of them, and this one is a cut above. This is a beautiful vehicle.
I took about 9 years to restore this. I've done my best to duplicate all of the correct methods of manufacture that the Chevrolet would have used at the time. So it did take me a long time to do it, a lot of research, and a lot of problems that we had to overcome.
The choice of the color, was this available in 57, this color?
Yes, this is called Cardinal Red. It's been available with various names since 1936. I think the last time they used it was 63. I believe it was something like Swift's Red once upon a time, or something like that. But this is a correct color. It's not the original color of the vehicle, but it is a correct color for 57 Chevy Suburban.
For a 57, it's not a pickup, of course, a Suburban, but it was designed as a utilitarian vehicle, but it's got a lot of pizzazz to it. Do you think that was intentional at the time? I mean, this is that typical, you use it for a work vehicle all week and then drive it out to dinner on Saturday night. Do you think that was what Chevrolet was thinking?
No, I don't. I think that Chevrolet was thinking primarily utilitarian, because most of these came with the painted bumpers, painted grills, 6-cylinder engine, stuff like that. I've talked to a lot of people who rode them up into the mountains to go to work, to the mine. A lot of them were used by surveyors, and the military even used some of them too. So no, I do think it was more for utility than it was for pizzazz.
I think of the U.S. Forest Service. I remember these being green and utilized by them.
You're also correct on that. I've seen several of them. Unfortunately, they were all in junkyards, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
What's the powertrain on this? This
particular one is a 265 V8 with a 4-speed granny low transmission and a 390 rear end. The 283 wasn't available until you got into the 1-ton vehicles, so this would be a 265. It is the 283 block, but they only bored it out to 3 3/4 instead of 3 7/8.
The most distinctive thing about the style on these, other than the overall, it's a Suburban design, I think are the wind splits, which I think are great on the hood, and then the massive bumper grill assembly. It's kind of it's like a boxer in a tuxedo. It's sort of classy and tough at the same time.
The wind splits, as you call them, are actually dealer installed accessories. Those particular ones are brand new, at least they were when I put them on, and they were to sort of stay with the theme of the wind splits on the 57 cars. The grille and the bumpers are chrome plated. That's an option. I believe it's RPO 393. It's called the chrome option. Normally, without spending the extra money, you got painted bumpers, painted grills, even the painted bumper guards, and again, without spending the extra money, you wouldn't get any wind splits at all.
It's absolutely beautiful, so thank you very much for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show. George Evans, you are a hard man to find. I was at a car show a day ago. I saw your car. I really liked it. I couldn't find you. We met up later, arranged to meet here today because I love Corvairs. I love 66 Corvairs, and this one with a V8 Buick tucked in the back is pretty spectacular. How did this come about? Did you build this or buy it done, or has this always been a dream to pack all this wallop in a little bitty Corvair?
I was trying to put an Olds Tornado 455 in a Corvair back in the mid-'70s, and that just wasn't working out for me too well. And I ran across this car, and at that time it had a 185 horse 215 Buick in the back of it. And I liked it. I've always loved the lines of a Corvair, so I bought it. About 6 months later, the cam went out of it, and so it got parked for 25 years. And so I pulled it out, figuring if I'm ever going to do it, I better do it now or it's never going to get done.
The system you have in the front end on this, there's a lot of sheet metal going on there. Is that all the air induction? What is all that?
I've got the radiator mounted in the front, and I'm ducting the air through the radiator and then back out through the fender wells. So the air is entered in under the bumper up to the radiator, and then I duct it out so that I can cool it down. It has an electric fan on it.
A lot of the Buick conversions or V8 conversions on Corvairs, most of the ones I've seen, the motor is in the back seat. I mean, it's right behind you. You can reach back and grab hold of it if you want. This one is tucked in. I mean, you walk by, you look at this, you don't realize what's going on back there. How did you get so much motor in such a small space?
Well, my wife wasn't one for having a motor right behind her. She's not going to ride in the car. So in all respect to her, I had to do something with a V8 out of the passenger compartment. So the Buick adapts to the original Corvair transaxle with a Kennedy Engineered Products adapter. And it's shoehorned in. There's not much room left.
Well, this is an absolutely breathtaking 66 Corvair. I think you can be very proud of it. You are very proud of it, and you deserve that. Thank you very much for having it on the Vintage Vehicle Show. What a great time we've had here in Golden, Colorado at the Golden Supercruise. So many cars, absolutely unbelievable. The people are great, the cars were great. It was absolutely an amazing adventure here. So thank you very much for watching the show, and if you enjoyed this, tune in again next time. Until then, bye-bye.